Hey, what's up, guys? This is C.O.P.S. Checking our public servants. Uh, I have in front of you here H.R.6666. Just in case three of them wasn't enough, they gave you four. This is the COVID-19 Testing, Reaching, and Contacting Everyone Act, the TRACE Act. This TRACE Act was introduced May 1st, 2020, and it is sponsored by Bobby L. Rush, representative out of Illinois, a Democrat. Let's do a little research on old Bobby Rush. Bobby Rush was a civil rights activist in the 1960s, and Rush co-founded the Illinois chapter of the CIA infiltrated Black Panthers. Okay, so he started off thinking he was civil rights activist. Now let's look at what he just introduced. Oh, but before we do that, let's look at who he endorses. He endorses in the 2015 Chicago mayoral election, Rush endorsed Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who was infamous for this quote.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
He also is very close friend to former President Bill Clinton and his wife, politician Hillary Clinton. Okay, so now we know a little bit about him. So let's go look at this act he just introduced. May 1st press release. Today, U.S. Representative Bobby L. Rush introduced H.R. 666, the COVID-19 Testing, Reaching, and Contacting Everyone Act, the TRACE Act. This bipartisan bill, so there goes for you people not thinking that this is Republican, Democrat, this is a bipartisan bill, would establish a grant program run by the CDC. And who does the CDC get their money from? Let's see. The CDC receives approximately $12 million in global funding through foundations and other donors, including the Bloomberg Family Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. If you're not up on the Gates agenda, click the video that's in the top right corner right now. Click that video if you don't know about Bill Gates. Okay, so we go back to this bill to mobilize coronavirus testing contact tracing efforts. To fully mobilize coronavirus testing and contact tracing efforts. It says here we're reopening our economy and getting back to normal will be all but impossible if we do not step up our testing efforts and implement robust, widespread contact tracing. Okay. The COVID-19 TRACE Act will allow us to do this by creating $100 billion grant program for local organizations to hire, train, and pay individuals and to purchase supplies to run mobile testing units and door-to-door outreach as it is safe and necessary, with special preference being given to those operating hotspots, New York, Los Angeles, all these big cities that had big quote-unquote cases and medically underserved communities, as well as those entities who commit to hiring from these neighborhoods. Contact tracing, huh? So what is contact tracing? Check out this video.
We need tracing agents in the hundreds and hundreds of people, right? You take the test and then you trace back all the contacts. It's never been done on this scale before. This is an army of tracers. They're basically investigators.
You know, I agree with you on this. This contact tracing is very important. Do you think maybe you could get the governors to ask the Congress to fund that as a part of all this money they're giving you? Or maybe it's legal now to spend some of the money, but we need a national core of healthy people who are properly trained to go out and do this contact tracing. We need the bodies.
The governor here, Governor Baker, invited us to be part of a consortium and to offer some of the insights and experience we've had in other countries in hiring and training a a group, really a whole cadre of community health workers, or contact tracers rather. I can't help but say community health workers, and they would be virtually trained. They are being virtually trained and deployed right now. What we would do with this is that this virtual group of contact tracers would contact anybody who has tested positive to learn about their recent activities, who they may have been in contact with, and ensure that they can take steps to make sure that they can stay healthy and not spread the virus any further. So the partnership essentially is building on infrastructure that already exists in a place like Massachusetts. And it needs to be part of a whole system. So that includes, ramping up testing. It includes providing really dignified isolation and treatment of everyone who's sick. And it's ensuring that people can be quarantined and at times separated in a very supportive way. We had something like 7,000 people, 9,000 people apply within the first couple of days to be contact tracers, so that we can actually use people who are out of place, out of work rather, who can be trained, even lay people, to do this work. It felt like a good thing for the economy also.
But one of the things that you have to be able to do is to track people who are positive. Where were they? Who were they in contact with? How can you hem up any recurrence of this? Massachusetts has recently announced that they're going to try to build a statewide tracking program, and they've asked Partners in Health to run it for them. And they're one of my partners in the work we've done in Africa, Haiti, and other places. But where are we going to get all these contact tracers?
With the tracing, because you're absolutely right. The predicate for getting back to some semblance of normalcy is our ability to identify individuals through testing, to be able to trace their contacts, to isolate individuals that have either been exposed or quarantine people that are tested positive. And that's just going to require an army of folks and the capacity of consideration from individuals to allow for their privacy to be impacted by that kind of acuity of attention based upon where they've been and who they talk to. And the capacity of consideration from individuals to allow for their privacy to be impacted by that kind of acuity of attention based upon where they've been and who they talk to. And the capacity of consideration from individuals to allow for their privacy to be impacted by that kind of acuity of attention based upon where they've been and who they talk to.
And at the moment, in most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.